Picture this. It's a Wednesday night, you have a massive math test tomorrow. Your English essay looks straight out of SparkNotes, which it is, and according to your split, it's leg day. Now, you're sitting there asking one of life's worst questions. Study or squat? We've all been there, and all too often one of these things falls to the wayside. Here's the issue. Most fitness advice, your split likely included, assumes your life is static. This Monday will be the same as next Monday, you'll have the same amount of homework, and never get randomly smacked in the face by 2 tests, a group project, and a quiz you forgot about. That's not true, especially for high schoolers. Some weeks are midterms, some finals, some APs, and some are blissfully empty. If your training doesn't adapt to this, either your schoolwork gets cooked, or your lifts do. Now you're tired, behind on work, and still plateauing. That's where periodization comes in. Now, periodization sounds like something a guy in a quarter zip would say, alongside other buzzwords while pointing at a spreadsheet. But for our purposes, it means something simple. Planning when to push, and when to pull back. Training isn't magic. You don't magically grow muscle just because you touched a dumbbell. You grow after training, when your body responds to the stimulus and then actually grows. If you're sleeping less, studying more, and mentally fried, your body has less energy to recover from training. So the solution is not to pretend school stress just doesn't exist. The solution is to plan around it. Here's the simple system. You have 3 modes: building, maintenance, and deload. Let's break them down. Building is when life is pretty light and you have room to push. This is when you try to progress the most. You definitely add weight or reps for the most basic type of progressive overload, but you might also add a few sets to increase volume if you think you can handle it. For example, maybe it's the end of November, everything is hectic at school, and you're doing 2 working sets of chest in a session. If it calms down as December approaches, your sleep is solid, you're recovering well, you might slowly build that up to 3 sets, intentionally. Then there's maintenance mode. Maintenance mode is for when life gets busier, but not catastrophic. You're not in full finals week survival mode, but you also don't have unlimited time and energy. Maybe you have 2 quizzes this week, maybe you have a debate tournament, or your team just made it to the finals. Regardless, during this phase you're doing your best to stay consistent, even if it means shorter or less satisfying workouts. And this is where you can use periodization really well, because most of the time, you know when the workload is increasing. Midterms don't just spawn in. You know when finals are. You know when APs are. You know when your big essay is due. So instead of letting school randomly destroy your training, you plan your training around your school. Let's use an example. Say your midterms start the week of January 5th. That means the week before, around December 29th, you probably need to study a lot. That's not the week to start a hard training block. Absolutely not. This week should probably be your deload week. Now that doesn't necessarily have to mean no training, but it should be vastly reduced, as in half the weight, half the sets, and half the sessions. The best bodybuilders do this. After an Olympia, they typically take 1 to 3 months off just to let themselves recover. Regardless, you reduce your training stress so you have more time and energy for studying. Then, the weeks before that, when school is more manageable, you build up. In late November and early December, you slowly increase your training. Maybe you add a few sets, and you use that period to make real gains. Then, when midterm week approaches, you pull back a little, grow a little slower, but pass all your tests. Now, after the deload, you don't immediately jump back into maximum volume. That's another mistake. If before the deload you were doing 5 hard sets of chest in a session, maybe after the deload you start with 2 or 3. Then you build back up over the next few weeks. This creates a cycle. Maintain when needed, and then deload when stress peaks. Now let's talk about a more annoying situation. Oftentimes, your schedule won't line up perfectly. Maybe you're in the middle of a building phase, training is going well, you're locked in, and then you check your test calendar Sunday night. Boom. 2 tests on Thursday. And of course, once in it is back day, and you're really chasing that Dorito shape. That's where tactical rearranging comes in. That's not exactly the same thing as a full deload, but it comes from the same principle of matching your training stress to your real life. So, in this example, instead of hitting back Wednesday night, you combine your chest day the day before with that back day, into an upper day on Tuesday. Is this the absolute optimal option? Probably not. But is it the best of both worlds? I think so. Now, before some guy comments, beginners don't need deloads. Let's clarify. It is true that many beginners don't need fancy deloads in the same way advanced lifters do. If you're brand new, you probably don't need a 12-week mesocycle spreadsheet collecting all the data you could think of. But high schoolers are not just dealing with training fatigue. We're dealing with life fatigue, tests, homework, college stuff, sports, and sleep deprivation. That's why periodization is so crucial for high schoolers. Now here's a very important warning. Don't abuse this. Some people might hear, adjust your training around school. and suddenly every worksheet turns into a deload. No, you still need to train consistently. The point is not to pull back whenever life gets a little inconvenient. So here's your practical system. Step 1, look at your school calendar. Step 2, mark your high stress weeks. Those are likely maintenance or deload weeks. Step 3, mark your lower stress weeks. Those are your building weeks. That's when you push harder. And step 4, plan your training around that. I hope you guys find this helpful, because it was a real game changer for me when I started implementing the system. Make sure you hit the subscribe and the notification bell. And with that, Muscle Maurice signing off.